Love you too.
The choice is clear. Right? We must continue to choose that as we go through our week. It's always an inside experience, as I said earlier. But we can choose to keep expanding and radiating that love into the world, and we'll see those ripples appear in our life. And that's a beautiful example of this right here with Dr. Debbie. I'm honored to... Little introduction. Reverend Dr. Debbie Roche is a spiritual teacher. She's a board-certified chiropractor, a functional medicine and acupuncture practitioner, brain wellness coach, intuitive guide, and author of The Joy Matrix, a book on metaphysical healing and personal empowerment. She's deeply passionate about teaching people how to live healthier and empowered lives. And through both personal and professional experiences, Dr. Debbie has witnessed profound transformation by honoring the connection between the mind, the body, the spirit, and the heart. Her work blends practical wellness strategies with powerful spiritual and metaphysical principles to support greater personal growth and inner freedom. Notice the theme? So I chose a special reading today called Shine by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be that? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that others will not feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just some of us, it is all of us. As we let our light shine, we give others permission to do the same. We are liberated from our own fear. Our presence automatically liberates others from their fear. So we all give ourselves permission to shine today so that truth, the truth, is reflected in all of us. And with that, I love to bring you the beautiful truth that is Reverend Dr. Debbie Roche.
Good morning. What an honor to be here. I am very excited to be standing here before you and so grateful. It is such a beautiful space, and I see so many of my loved ones that have known me for so long in the audience, so thank you for being here today. When I was asked to speak, I was told that the topic of the month was freedom. And the first thing that I thought about was that if I or anybody that I know is imbalanced in some way, whether it be their hearts or their minds or their bodies or spirits, whether there's something blocking us, then I know for me, I can't really feel free. And so I wanted to really talk about healing, not just the basics of healing, not just about physical healing, but the essence and the depth of healing, and then stepping into joy. I believe that whatever negative, if you want to say a word from a frequency standpoint, challenging is probably a better word, any challenging health condition or emotional issue or imbalance that we go through, I always see that as some type of spiritual journey that is either leading us to our greater mission here or to a greater experience of joy and happiness further along the journey if we're able to perceive it that way. However, when we're in those states, whether it be depression, sadness, trauma, physical pain, when we're handed a diagnosis, whatever it might be, it can be really challenging to see beyond what's in front of us or what we're really experiencing. And so my life, ever since I was a little kid, was all about healing. And so my mom, Joan, her nickname was Honeybee, one of the great loves of my life, didn't get to live a life like you and I. She was in bed for decades. She had cerebral palsy and schizophrenia and many other health conditions that so limited her ability to live in a vibrant way. And I was 4 or 5, and I would be in her bedroom, and I'd be watching her so struggle in a way where I questioned if God was there every single day, probably for 18 years. And I would watch her go in and out of reality, and in such a state of poverty. Our home was not a normal functioning home, and my sister and I went through a lot of trauma in many different ways, including sexual trauma. And so being in this environment, it made me question where God was. But in the corner of her room stood the Virgin Mother. And underneath the Virgin Mother was this book, this image of this book, and on the pages was the Serenity Prayer. And for those of you in 12-step recovery, what a powerful reminder throughout my life at my bottoms and worst moments to remember that statue, because I remember looking at my mother and the despair of everything going on. And I would feel the light of the Virgin Mother, and I would see my mother wrap the rosary around her hand in a way that it was like her lifeline to existing. And I never understood why Mom was so connected to God, because she suffered so badly. And many years later, when she was in the nursing home, I climbed into bed with her to hold her. I was maybe 30, 35, maybe 33-ish. And I said, Mom, have you ever been mad at God? Because if anybody on the earth, she would get a pass to be mad at God. And she said, absolutely not. It wasn't even a second, no delay. Absolutely not. I have always been taken care of. And even though she couldn't mother in the way that everybody else did, she taught me the 2 most important things that I carry with me today. One was the power of faith, that is all you need. And number 2, the power of love. And the essence of love is the most powerful thing in the universe. And so when Mom would be in bed, I'd be doing all kinds of things outside, and I would run around the block, and I would feel my heart. And I would feel the essence of the divine in my heart. And I realized that divine energy was in me. That was the first thing of this imprint of this divine energy. And number 2, I had a family member who was a natural healer, and he would look at cells under the microscope. And I would go, and I was mesmerized. I was like maybe 5 and a half. And I'd look at the screen, and I would see the cell. And what I loved, I was like mesmerized by it. And in that moment, I realized I would spend my whole life figuring out about the cells and the energy and all the things I saw on that screen. But what was the most powerful about this experience was the light behind the cell. And it was the divine. And now that I'm older now and I reflect back, the cell is the first incarnation of the divine. The divine is us. And there's always been such a beautiful magic to me about that idea. And I've spent my whole life researching the biochemistry and the energy systems and all the things, because what I realized, especially when I was diagnosed, was so many things. All kinds of brain-related things, lupus, MS, RA, all these things, thyroid, all the imbalances, right? I realized that if I could get closer to the cells and understand why they weren't happy, then I could reverse whatever it was. And ultimately I did on all those levels. And so it's always been this divine magic of the cell. Later on, I grew up, loved books. Books were always safe, loved biochemistry because it made sense when nothing else did. But I didn't realize the impact of the trauma on my systems, my brain, my heart. And I came down with all of these negative health experiences. And one of them was severe, severe depression. And we're not just talking for like a year or two. And I ran to the Western medicine doctors, did everything that they told me for like 12 years, exactly. And I never got better. And I remember I was under the covers with my cats, and the only thing that I could really do was read books about natural healing. I barely could teach at the time. I was teaching at the time. And I would just come home, lay in bed with the cats, and beg God to get better, because nothing was working. And so I started to read, and ironically, when Mom was sick years ago, I started reading natural healing books at age 7, because I knew something was being missed somewhere in the regular systems of healing, because my mother never got better. And when I had the same type of genetics in my brain, I was like, I can't become what happened to my mother. That was my biggest fear, is that I wouldn't get better. And so there was some kind of conviction inside that said, no, if the only thing I could do was read books, right? And so I had this deal with God moment. And I said, God, it's like 3 a.m., all the cats, I'm under the covers, I'm hating existing, I don't want to be there anymore on earth. I'm like, God, you got to help me out. You either need to teach me how I can come out of this, or you need to take me off the planet. That was the deal. Like, there's no option. I can't live like this anymore, because it had been like over a decade of so severely struggling with depression that I could not function. And it was ironic, after that deal with it, I said, if you do give me my brain back, I will spend the rest of my life teaching other people how to, whatever that information is. So if you make a deal with God, and he comes through, you gotta follow through, even if you're afraid of being seen. And for me, being seen, oh my gosh, as a child meant that I would be hurt. So as an adult, that was one of my lessons, and still is. I still struggle with it in moments. Is how do I learn to be seen so I can make a difference and help people? And so, as I reflect back and look at my life today, I am so grateful. But in that moment of making that deal with God, what happened was that in a few weeks I discovered many, many metaphysical principles. I started listening to Abraham Hicks. I started going a lot to Wings Bookstore. It was another spiritual community for many, many years. And I realized that emotions were frequency. Emotions were energy that I could shift. And at that time, I was going to all the doctors. I was going to all the therapists. I was reading the self-help books. I was praying. God, was I praying? But the metaphysical concepts around emotion, around healing trauma, around understanding the energy systems, it gave me tools that could align my life in a way where I so tried before. It didn't, I couldn't grasp it. I couldn't connect to it. And so before I do a spiritual message for any community, I always ask the divine, what am I supposed to really speak about today? And I was out to dinner with my partner a few days ago, and I'm a big believer that the universe speaks to us in unique ways if we're able to listen, right, to follow the signs. And in the check was this postcard. I've never received a postcard from a check at a restaurant before, and it is the Skyway Bridge. For those of you that know me a little bit maybe better than other people, I'm a survivor of jumping off of the Skyway Bridge. Thank you. Thank you. It's 394 feet. What was the statistics? 364 people have jumped and 49 have survived. I have a spiritual mentor, Reverend Linda McLeod. She's been in my life for a very long time. Tough on me, very tough on me, but we adore each other. And she always says, speak from your heart, go into your heart, don't just stand in your head. Don't just be in your headspace. And, I've spoken about the bridge many, many times, but for today, I didn't want to speak about it from the headspace. I wanted to speak about it from a heart space. And so, it's taken me a really long time to work through the shame of that moment, because in that moment, I hurt everybody that loved me. I couldn't see anything else. I couldn't see anything else but the blackness. And at that time, people, hope is such an incredibly important thing. Hope. A lot of the work that I do revolves around hope, both from a spiritual perspective, from a wellness teaching perspective, from a healing practice perspective. It's about holding the space for hope and the power of that hope. Because I know what it's like when you lose that hope. And that's what happened. My brain went through, I got into a car accident right before that incident. My brain was flooded with inflammation and pain. And then my brain shut down. I was sexually assaulted in the back of a car. And so it brought up all the trauma energy. So it was this like perfect storm. And I would go to the doctors. My brain quit working. It just shut down. And I would go to the doctors and say, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. And nobody could tell me what was going on. They just threw medication at me and out the door. It just showed me the door. And they told me, we don't think your brain's coming back. And for me, that was the only thing I had. I mean, with my learning difference from the trauma, I had to literally study 100 times harder than everybody else to get the degrees that I got. And for the doctors to say that my brain was not coming back, I didn't have the resources really to support myself. I was like, you know what? It's hard enough to be here. I'm out. God, I can't take this anymore. I want to become an angel, and I'm not coming back. And so I'm a researcher, and what that means is I figure stuff out. No matter what anybody brings to me or any issue or problem in my life, usually I figure it out. It just takes me a little bit of time sometimes. And I said, well, what's the most efficient way of taking myself off the planet? I did the research, and the highest probability was jumping off the Skyway Bridge. And I said, okay, all right, universe, if that's the way I'm going to go, I'm a big believer in you go big or you go home. I'm not going to, so I laugh now. It's a terrible topic to laugh about, but at least I can. I can laugh about it now. Yes? Is it not? Okay. Thank you. So I woke up on a Sunday, or I don't remember what day it was, but it was 7 a.m. I was like, okay, I'm leaving. I could only see the blackness. I couldn't see the love. I had one of my mentors calling me every few hours, and it was like that was the only option my brain could see. And I always say that because there's a lot of people out there that have lost people to suicide, and they think, oh, if only I could have done this, or maybe if I would have done that, it would have been different. And I'm here to say no. When you're in that place and the blackness and the pain is all you can see, that option is really the only one that you can fathom. And so off I go. I start driving, and I remember the climb. And I knew I had 10 seconds from the car to the edge of the bridge, or to the edge. And so I got to the top, I jumped out, and I'm sitting on the rail, and the last thought I had was that they are not going to do to me what they did to my mother when I saw how she was ostracized and treated by the medical community and the community at large. And so I pushed myself off the railing, and as I'm falling, I realize, oh my God, I don't want to die. So here I am falling. And I realized that moment of, oh my God, what have I done? Ironically, and I still never understood this, I blacked out during that time of the descent. Usually people black out after they hit, but for me, I always believe my angels took me out because if you hold your breath, your lungs explode when you hit the water. So I hit the water, and I come to about 4 inches from the water, the top of the water, and I'm mad that I didn't die. I'm scared to death because I know what's probably going to happen to me afterwards. But I was mad I didn't die, and I looked up, and I saw the bridge and the colors of the sky, and there were 4 trauma specialists in a boat 20 feet away that were trained. They were on vacation fishing, and they were able to pull me up on the boat and get me to Bayfront. And so when I look psychically back at that incident, because I've had intuitive gifts ever since I was little, and I see the light beings. I had 4 broken bones, my femur, my back, my shoulder, and my ankle. And so there's no way I could have swam, because when I was trying to swim in the water, my leg wasn't working because the bone had severed. And so when I look back, I see the light beings bringing my body to the surface. And when I was in the hospital, I was labeled trauma 4. I remember that. And as soon as they let visitors, I would wake up and there would be chaplains in the room. I was a chaplain at the time over First Unity. And I would wake up day after day, and there would be 10, 12 people in the rooms. There's a couple people here that were part of that chaplain group, and it saved me. I couldn't feel the love or the light, and them around me saved me. And so, to look back today, it was 14 years. It was about 14 years. And I look at my life today, and I am so incredibly grateful. And I wonder, why did I get to live when all those people didn't? So, it wasn't my time. But there's no logic. I mean, from a spiritual perspective, maybe, but when I think about doing anything in my life, I think, wow, I was saved. The universe can do anything. And when it comes to healing, there are a couple principles I wanted to bring up around metaphysics. I wasn't sure what direction this talk was going to go. I said, Spirit, lead me today. But I wanted to mention a few of the metaphysical principles that really have saved me every single time when I have hit a life bottom. First principle is never believing the whatever it is as the forever reality, of really claiming that state of consciousness that you can create a different truth and reality for yourself, your body, your mind, your brain, whatever it might be. Number two, that everything is energy, including emotion. That was one of the most powerful things that I learned in metaphysics, that whatever the metaphysical or the emotional energy that you are struggling with, pain, grief, unforgiveness, trauma, sadness, whatever it might be, that you can move and shift to that frequency with the right metaphysical tool. Three, God is everywhere. The divine is everywhere, even in the blackness. Even when I was down there, I couldn't see the light, but I could sense spirit down there too. So as black as it got, spirit was there too, and it taught me so much. I had to go through a lot to learn the lessons, but God did it teach me. And so also it made me realize that consciousness and our choice around the consciousness we carry really does create our experience, because there's no logical reason. Number one, I'm up here on this stage. Number two, having gotten through chiropractic school. And really, all the dreams, finishing up, I'm on the second book, which is about the experience, but really, it's a miracle. And even when I look at, oh, thank you. And that, thank you. Thank you very much. And that's the power of the divine. And sometimes I get stuck in the muck of my, negativity or whatever it might be, the challenge. But the divine is always there in it, if we're able to step back and really connect to the frequency of that. Love is the most powerful thing in the universe. And if you're in that place, find a way to connect to that frequency, whether it be love of an animal, love of a child, love of the community, love of something you love to do. But that frequency really is the most powerful thing in the universe. And inner guidance. I was so grateful. One of the reasons why that jump happened was I couldn't hear my angels anymore. But when we're able to really get grounded enough, the divine is always speaking to us in big and small ways. And if we're able to take action, amazing things unfold. And so there are a couple, I heard two things that I'll briefly mention. One, it was a quote, "Faith is courage." And I went, wow, isn't that true? To abandon all logic and to totally believe in that divine frequency and force. That is courageous. And every day I want to have that courage. This quote really stuck out to me. It's by Mary Oliver from her poem, The Summer Day. "Tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Every moment is a gift. How will you love bigger, forgive bigger, go after your joy? And remember, no matter what you're walking through or what's in front of you, love is the healing force." Thank you.